Thank you for joining me for the first tutorial in H4V Pro history. This is Justin Kirchhoff. Today, we are going to add text to a H4V side-by-side picture. And to do that, we are going to be in After Effects. So I'm going to get straight to it. First thing I wanted to point out is that this image was taken with the Red Hydrogen 1 Media Machine. This mobile device is incredible as it has the screen technology to showcase better than 3D without glasses and be able to take high quality photos. Here we are in After Effects. Now, I wanted to point out first and foremost that this composition is 8K wide, so it's 7680 by 2160. I'm going to bring in my first photo, and here it is. This image was taken with the Red Hydrogen 1 of a bottle of whiskey that I got for myself. And I want to point out again that the actual composition width is 8K, 7680 by 2160. And right here, we're just going to add text to this image because I wanted to show you all that it's pretty easy as long as you follow a simple procedure. And that is, we will write our text first, we will move the text to where we want it to appear in the image, and then we will actually add a null object. So, right here we have our text. It's not perfect. I'm not doing this for graphic design purposes. Just want to let you guys know I have better taste than how I played with this, but I just wanted to show you how easy and simple it was, once again, to add text and image. So right now we have our text added to just our left side image. You can add it to the left or the right. First, doesn't matter, but for this purpose of this tutorial, I am going to add it to the left. Next thing I'm going to do is create a null object, and you will see that the null object appears right in the center of the two images. That's where we want to keep it for a very good reason. So that reason is when we actually resize the composition, like so, we are going to make it exactly half the size of the image. So half of 7680 is 3840. Now we're exactly the size of just the left side or right side image, which happens to be 3840 by 2160. We're going to parent the text to the null object as well as the image, and you'll see why. So I'm going to click the null object, and then I'm going to move it to the right. We could do this by holding down Shift and just scrolling your mouse to the right, or we can just type this in because I've done it 1,000 times. We're going to put in 3840 because, again, that's exactly the full length of one image, and that'll bring us the image perfectly center in our frame here, our composition window. Now that we've moved everything over to the right, we are going to duplicate the text. And normally what I would do is I would find the plane, the focus plane that I actually focused the camera on. And that is where I want the text placed. It is very important to do this, and I will tell you at the very end of this tutorial why. But remember that. So here we go. We duplicated the text. Now that it's duplicated, I have to move over to the right image to bring that particular text over to the right. And to do that, I need to unparent it. So I'm going to have no parent level on here. I'm going to knock it out, just put it to none. I'm going to go back to the null object. And because we are going to the far right, I am going to put this number to 0 because that will bring us all the way to the right. I'll show you what halfway looks like. This is 1920. And let's go and bring this all the way to the right. I'm just showing you exactly what the text is doing because it's not parented anymore. It's staying exactly where we had duplicated it. And because we brought that image all the way to the right, we are perfectly on just the right image of our capture. Now, because we did that, our text is going to be exactly where it should be in terms of it transferring correctly to our 3D image. So I'm going to now reparent the text to my null object, and I'm doing that because I have to resize my composition window to fit both these images back into the same image, not just the left, not just the right. So we're going back to composition settings. We're doubling this back to 7680. And because we are far right again, I'm going to have to go back to my null object and change that back to 3840. And that's exactly the middle of the image again, which will slide everything to the right. So this is how I duplicate text for H4V or Holopix. It's a procedural way of doing it. Now, you're not going to do everything this way because once the After Effects plugin comes out for H4V images, it'll be a little bit easier for us to duplicate these. All right, so I'm going to save this frame as a JPEG, and so we're going to go to the JPEG sequence. Remember, it's just saving frame as, not saving an entire sequence as. I'm going to change the format options to optimized, make sure it's at the highest bit rate. That way we can reduce the noise in the image. I'll hit OK. And just check. We don't need to really worry about the video output. Next thing I want to show you is that the most important thing when naming an H4V side-by-side 4K still is that we need the nomenclature of 2 by 1. So that is telling us that we need 2 images on one level. So we're going to keep that in the nomenclature, in the name of the actual file. I'm going to delete this because we don't need it. And because I've done this a few times, I'm just going to rename the file to Jack 5 there, spec 5. JPEG's okay. We're going to hit save. And then just wanted to check everything's all right. Okay, and then we're going to render. And then it's an immediate render because it's a JPEG file. It's pretty quick. Now we're going to cut over to my Hydrogen 1, and I will show you how to bring this into Holopix after I download it from Dropbox. So this is my phone home screen. So I actually have files that managed to be transferred through Dropbox, and I downloaded my image from Dropbox to the phone. So you'll find it in my downloads folder. I'm going to open it with Red Player. And what that does is allows me to see what I made. Now, here's an image. I updated the text since the tutorial to be all caps because that's what the Gentleman Jack brand looks like. And what's great about this is that I can adjust the focal plane in post from my originally captured image. And so that was the one reason why I had to tell you that your text that you add to the image has to be on the same plane as where your original focal plane lands. If it isn't, and you try to adjust your H4V depth and focus in post, then that text is not going to show up the way you want it to. It'll be broken up, and it'll be out of focus. So after we save our file to the phone, after we make our adjustments with H4V depth or focus, we'll be asked where exactly we want to save it on the device. I'll provide a new file name, and I'm going to save it to .h4v, which is actually a JPEG file that retains the H4V metadata. So I can bring it into Holopix. It'll be recognized as an H4V file, or I can bring it into Instagram or Facebook and share it with those of us that do not have the Hydrogen Media Machine. So I'm going to share it straight to Holopix. This is how you do it. Tap the Holopix button up top, and it'll bring me straight to a post where I write a caption or a hashtag, and it'll post under my username on Holopix. This has been Justin Kirchhoff with H4V Pro. Thank you so much for sticking around with this tutorial. I will have other more advanced tutorials as we move forward with the H4V format. Please email me and let me know what tutorial you would like next.